Hey guys, this is an install for a 2008, 2011 or 12 Honda Accord V6 Coupe. It should be basically the similar for the i4 for big brake upgrade. I ordered my brake from Mark at throwdownperformance.com. I ordered a Ksport 14-inch rotors with 8 piston caliper upgrade. I'm going to show you what bolts you need to remove. It's just 4 bolts and the brake line. That's all you have to remove. That's basically all it is. I'm going to show you how it is now. Hopefully there's enough lighting from in here. But this is going from the top of the rotor. Top of the rotor you have one bolt right here. Right here. You have another one at the bottom side of the rotor. And you have one right here. These bolts right here are 14 millimeters. So you just put a 14 millimeter socket and start taking it out. Okay, so I have my socket and my torque wrench attached to it. You have to get the way you take this off is you have to get a 19 millimeter wrench with the socket, and right behind the wrench, right behind the bolt, there's a little nut. It's a 19 mil nut. Just make sure you put the wrench here, hold it, and you get the breaker bar and you push down. And that should disattach. That should break it free. And you do the same thing for the bottom, okay? Okay, now that you have this off, you have to get a 12 mil for your brake line bracket that's here. And just undo the 12 mil and your brake line will be free. Now, as you can see, I have stainless steel lines already, so I'm not going to need to install my new stainless steel lines from Ksport. These are the same millimeter. They're 3.2 millimeters thick. That means that the flow rate through this thing, through the actual wire, is at 3.2 millimeter. So I don't need to upgrade it because it's the exact same stainless steel size. Now that you have your brake line free, and now you have the capability of just sliding out your caliper. I'm placing it right next to the oil pan, the oil filter, and leaving it there for now. Now I'm going to show you the next 2 bolts that you need to remove. Hopefully you have enough light. Sorry again, I don't have an assistant, so you have to bear with me. I don't know if you can see it, but coming from the rotor all the way to the back, you have one bolt right here. You see it? Okay. That one, right next to the little spring, have the bolt right there. Then you have another one on top right here. I'm touching it on my finger, directly behind this spring. I think these are 17 mils. You just have to get your 17 mil socket and take those out. Okay, now I have my 17 mil ratchet or my torque wrench, and I'm just going to remove the bolts now. You can remove the brake pads if you want. Just gotta slide them out. These are EBC yellow pads that I had before. These are the race pads. They were good. I loved them. I wouldn't turn them back, but they're really high dust. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to remove the bolts from the back. Now they're pretty, I got them loose already. So remember, these are your 17 mils. When you take this off, that's it. Slides right out. That's one bolt. Hold the bracket in place, because if not, it's going to fall straight to the floor. It's always good to keep these OEM parts, you know, just in case something happens and you want to sell your car. You can make your profit back up when you need to sell the parts. Okay, so that's it. There's no more caliper here. Everything's done. Now it's just rotor. Now in Hondas, in our Accords, we have these safety bolts. There's one here. I took this one off before. These are a very pain in the ass to take off. I'm gonna show you with the new upgrade of the rotors. We can't. There's no place to use this. It doesn't exist. So we're actually gonna remove this completely. I'm actually gonna drill into it. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed various sizes of drill bits. I am starting off with the 1/8. Now make sure you get replacements just in case they snap, but start off really slow. Go in the middle of the actual star and just start drilling slowly. Don't force it fast because you're going to snap it and you end up with half of 1/8. So just do it slow. Put a little bit of pressure. When you hear a little clunk, that means that you're actually at the end of the rotor. So you don't need to drill anymore with this socket. Go ahead and change it out to a bigger one. I'm not sure of the sizes, but just go like 2 steps bigger. And voila, there goes your bolt. You ate it all out, that's it. Okay, with your rubber mallet, you start, just tap the rotor and it simply breaks free. And once that's done, that's it. Okay, since I decided to keep my heat shields, or the dust shields, what you need to do is just get the rubber mallet and just bang away, bending the tips, these tips completely back, and then just kind of making more room for the rotor on the bottom and on the sides. Okay, now we're going to bolt up the adapter. This is very important. Make sure that you bolt this first before you do anything else. So this is the way you're going to install it. Remember the threads, the side that's open on this side, and insert the screw in the bolt and start threading it. Ksport didn't do a research or give me instructions on the exact torque specs that I need to torque this down. So I'm going to torque it down to 80 pounds or 84 pounds. Okay, so now it's time to install the rotor. I'm going to go ahead and grab the rotor. Make sure that you get the right direction. The slakes, if you see this is the direction for the passenger side. The driver's side will be opposite. So make sure that this is going towards the rotation of the tire or forward. However the forward is rotating, you go ahead and install it that way, okay? So here we go. Okay, now the rotors that I received is getting our lugs, which is recommended the way you align your rotor. Just go ahead and thread 2 or 3. Okay, you don't need a torque wrench. Just make sure you get the right socket. Go ahead and start tying it down evenly. Okay, that's it. Now that you have that cleared away, it is very important. From factory, Ksport sends them with oil. There's oil on it's like a sealant for the rotor. So you have to make sure that before you do the install, you purchase some brake cleaner. This will remove some of the oil that's on there. And just go ahead and start spraying it down. This will prevent from getting squeaky rotors. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to set up the calipers while the brakes are drying. First thing you need is, of course, the correct caliper. The way you know if it's a correct caliper, this is again for the passenger side. On the caliper itself, they're directional. Right here, I don't know if you can see it, this arrow has to actually go in the form of the tire rotation, the same as a rotor. So you can actually remove this sticker. That way you have a clean rotor. It doesn't get baked on. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and install the noise silencer thing. You're gonna see the bleed nipple that's on this side and the stainless steel, or the steel line that's on the other side. You're gonna face the arrow towards the steel line, not the nipple. So you're going to install it like this, face down. Okay, you're going to install it. You see the rotor, you're going to install it just like this. The way this is held in place is actually by the actual brake pads. So when you have that installed, you go ahead and lay that back down. You go ahead, grab the piston just like the brake pad, just like this. You angle it down. Make sure it's even on both sides. It's hard to do this with one hand, guys. And slide it in. Once it's slided in place, you can see that this is firm. Okay, so you should already have it in place. And the rotors are all set and ready to go in. So now you can flip this around. And you have your brake pads and everything set for install. Okay, now that you have your rotors ready, remember the brake bracket had the two small holes. These holes right here, these are the holes the new bolts go inside here. This is a 10mm Allen socket. This bolt slides directly inside. Okay, so now it appears on the other side, just like this. And the bolt, it bolts down to the actual bracket that's in the back of the rotor. Now, in our cars, we need to align the rotor. At least for my car, I needed two small washers that Ksport provides. They provide about 25 of them just in case. You're not supposed to use more than two on where the bracket meets the caliper. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and put the Allen bolts inside, and I already put the spacers on the bolts, so when I put the caliper in, it's already ready. I don't have to worry about trying to fit it in when the caliper is already installed. So go ahead and put your caliper on. Go ahead and raise the sucker up. Find the holes. This is a 10 Allen key joint or socket. Go ahead and slightly thread them in. That way the washer and the bolts, the adapter, the washer and the bolt and caliper are all in place. So that you have it. Now just finish the bottom. Now again, this is another part. Not that I didn't like. I think it's necessary for Ksport to provide. Is the torque specs for these calipers for this bolt. I don't know the torque specs, so again, I am going to torque it. Okay, now that you have it installed, that's it. All you need to do now is just go ahead and disconnect your brake line from your OEM caliper. So all you need to do is go ahead and disconnect this bolt, and there's a bolt on the back of the caliper that you saw in the video. All you got to do is just make sure you put the brake line in between the two washers. Now you got to connect your bracket back up and you'll be all set. This is the way you're supposed to bleed the brakes. You have two pistons, one on this side and one on the other side. You need an assistant for this because you need to have someone pump the brake as we do this. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. Pump the brake. Hold it, pump. Okay, let it pump again. As you can tell, brake fluid when rushing from here to here, these are little air gaps that were inside the actual piston itself. So you need to get until all this is full of fluid and no air comes out. That's when it's completely bled, and you have to do it on both sides.